Why we're surrounded by...
Hello, and welcome to Office Hours with Amber. I am Amber, and this is Office Hours. I was going to have an interview this week with my business partner, Matt White, but then I've been so busy preparing for Vegas that I needed another week to work on stuff. But that's okay. That's just kind of how it works. Welcome to Office Hours. Audio's working, phone's away, God bless. Yeah, crazy stuff has been happening. It's been, I think all of the planets are somehow in retrograde, and then also because I'm an Aries sun, Virgo rising, and a Gemini moon, somehow all of that added together equals chaos. So yeah, we're going to do our best this week. This week will be more of like a body double working session. I haven't tested any of the audio. I think after 40 some weeks in a row, we're just going to hope for the best, and that's okay. But yeah, so this month my goals are to build a financial and KPI budget for 2026. In previous episodes, in previous live streams, we've talked about the importance of picking the right things to track and measure, what are going to have the most impact, that are the most closely related to your goals and what you're trying to achieve. And as a new business, or rather like I would say mild startup, we're still very new. Profitability is extremely important. So profitability as well as customer service, I think I don't have to think. I know that it's our primary goals with Good Trade Depot. So I want to build a financial model and a KPI, like KPI budgeting to be able to reflect those goals and keep everyone engaged and empowered and excited. Before we get started with that, thank you for joining. We are 2 weeks out. In 2 weeks from today, I will be presenting the case study findings of Office Hours with Amber. Can you truly completely upgrade your skills and catch up to all of the modern Excel techniques in 48 hours? Spoiler alert, the answer is yes. Now I am in the dead sprint to make my PowerPoint as impactful, succinct, and exciting as possible. And I think this is an interesting moment in time with how to describe. It's like 12 months of work and like 5-10 years of professional work to try and sum it all up in an hour. And it's like, Amber, that's way too much pressure. You got to relax. So I think I'm just going to recenter my focus on being just myself. Speaking of that, we'll get into that later. Anyways, if you'd like to join me in Vegas, there's still time. There's 2 weeks. Plenty of time to book some tickets and get some hotel rooms and join me there. If you'd like to join, go to theactivecell.com/shop and use Peachy Pro at the promo code SPOT. I'm excited to be soon not have to say that anymore. I don't have to say it. It's more of like I want so many people to come to the conference because it's going to be so fun. And truly, I think working at Anheuser-Busch or like working in a corporate environment or even like where I work now, like a lot of times I am the data person. I am an island of me And because there's not many other people that know how to do what I do, I don't often have people, well, before I started attending these conferences, I didn't have a lot of people I could like talk to about the new stuff that was going on or the stuff I was excited about. And so truly the Active Cell Conference is the conglomeration of the like 300 of the most brilliant global Excel and analytical logical thinkers that are data islands in their own respects as well, which is so fun because then you kind of collect respected perspectives, and I love it so much. But yeah, we're going to put on some vibey music. Lately, I've been, and I don't know how to credit this properly. I'll put the link in the chat. I've been really liking it's like restorative handpan music, like, or they like, I think they call them beta binaural, binaural. I don't know. It's vibey and I like it. Yeah, so I'm going to put that on and we're going to see how loud it is. We're going to go from there. And that one's got an ad, so I'm unsure. I think I'm going to go with this one, but we'll see. Some of them are just kind of noise though, and I don't much like those. How about handpan sound bath, perhaps? I think I was listening to this at work today. Yeah, vibes. Perfect. And if it's too loud, let me know. Otherwise, we're going to vibe. Okay. This is the one that I was watching earlier. I'll delete that first one. Yeah. We're just going to body double while I tiki in the computer. Disclaimer. The data I'm working with, although is factual, is randomized to protect anonymity of like, you know, Matt's financial business. So I've basically multiplied everything by a random factor and then replaced all of the account names and like vendors and clients, replace those with like some like generic like customer 1, customer 2, customer 3. I'm going to check in to see if the audio that's like overwhelming, because I don't want to blast your ears off. I don't know how I could with this. Like vendors and clients, replace those with like some like generic like easy peas. So good. Okay, we're just gonna vibe. Okay, with monitor. Okay, this is the video I'm listening into. I'm gonna subscribe to the channel. Inner Vibe Meditation. So good. It really, I mean, it's a nice like background too. It's a nice like you know what I mean? Like having that on while you're like doing like work. I don't know. Anyways, we're gonna listen to that. And then I'm sure it'll be copywritten afterwards, but that's okay. We'll figure that out later. I don't make money from this anyway. Which I kind of don't want. I mean, obviously making money is cool. But like from YouTube videos, the point of like, let's get real. The point of these live streams and the point of my YouTube channel is really more of like a educational backlog, like a catalog of everything I've done. And so it's kind of like a portfolio of thought. And so that's why I don't really care much to super monetize it or like tiptoe around the monetization of it, because monetization was never the point. Like it's just kind of like a place I collect all of my thoughts and feelings about, or thoughts, feelings, logic, and reasoning and accomplishments. So like, that's why I don't much care about, because I know if you use certain songs or whatever and you were to monetize it, obviously whoever made the music is entitled to compensations. But like, I'm not getting compensated. So that's where I'm like, does it matter? Regardless. Vibey. Let's do it. So where we left off last time is we did a lot of pre-work on the department, the type of thing we're going to track, whether it's financial or an operational KPI, the metric itself, or kind of like the overarching metric, so income, expenses in the financial realm, and then what the primary sub metric we want to focus on is. And so today, what I'm kind of attacking this in a top down, bottoms up. This is a top down of like, what do I want to see happen, and what numbers do I think need to happen to be able to reach our goals? Whereas bottom up would be more of like, what have we historically done? Again, this data has been randomized. What have we done in the past, and how does that relate to, how can we use that for the future? So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to familiarize myself with the data that's available and try to pick the needles out of the haystack of the things I already want to find. In that's where we get kind of the chicken and the egg. I did the financial modeling course, the intro to financial modeling course on Full Stack Modeler 2 or 3 months ago. Who could be sure what time that was? Maybe it was June. Unsure. Did that a few months ago, and I learned a lot of really, I would say, solid modeling techniques of having your inputs in one place, calculations in another, and then your outputs in, another place. So these are all empty and kind of like the shell of things I've done before, but there's parts of me that kind of want to start from scratch. I think that's probably the best way to do it. You know what? Honestly, let's do it. Who cares? I think I could probably keep that stuff. Oh, I'm immediately wrong. No. Yeah. Sometimes it's easier to start from scratch because then you're not fighting your previous. Yeah. We're starting fresh. Where'd 22,000 come from? Oh, interesting. I'll probably leave that alone. I know that's gonna go away. Don't care. Don't care. I kind of like having payroll as that because then you can track and monitor each person's development. Don't need that. Oh yeah, we're on the calculations tab. Honestly, a lot of this can be gone. What I like doing with the inputs and calculations is traditionally, like, I like to make all my inputs and then just duplicate the page and then add in all of the equations I want to do off of it. Because then you don't have to, be all over God's creation. But you know what? Yeah, we're going to do that. We're going to leave that part alone. And we're going to keep the, bones of, things that, might come back. Maybe I should call this body double session. Yeah, let's call it a body double session. I think that's more fair. I'm pretty disinterested in all of this as well. Hello, Eric. Nice to see ya. What I'm doing this week is essentially translating I'm doing the top down and bottom up. I'm trying to meet somewhere in the middle of here's the kind of metrics I care about, and I want to start to build out the tracking and managing of these. But yeah, right now what I'm currently doing is, so I've randomized the data here, the source data, and then I have where I want to lean towards. But what I'm doing here is taking an old model I have and just gutting the hell out of it and making room. Basically, I don't want to, sometimes I like, similar to like a PowerPoint, I like having the outline and then I can fill in the details, but like having to rebuild revenue section and expense section, even though in my mind I already know it exists, like, but yeah, so this is basically a body double hour, so if you want to get something done while we listen to some good music, feel free. It's really gonna be just me cranking away on trying to get something done. Pretty boring, but that's okay. It doesn't have to be exciting every week. I think I just want to torch everything. You know what? No, I don't need to build from scratch. I'm going to just move all my good ideas to the very bottom because I want enough room to like exist. Additionally, this looks crazy, to be honest. So like in an organization, really you should have like one or two primary total objectives. And then the reason why this looks crazy is because these are all like, I want to run them past the team to like, which of these do you feel is the most impactful and most traceable and most actionable? So right now, having like as a small business, having 31 metrics to follow is insanity, but it's between each person, let's say, so this person would have 6, but realistically, there's financial ones that are like pretty well, like sales staff salaries, like a fixed thing. So it's really not, I wouldn't say those are a metric. It's more of like a feature, like it's like, I wouldn't even say that's a metric. It's more of like these are the most impactful in these, which really that each person has income, expenses, and then 2 operational. So it looks crazy, but that's okay. Okay, let's do this. And then I liked the way that he had that set up before. We got a lot of fonts going on. Where are we at? Hey Sim, what's up? I think any project-based don't actually need to be tracked here. Okay, I think I'm happy with that. Today I am making a KPI and financial model for one of my clients. I've randomized the data, but trying to build out essentially. Now today's basically just a body double session to hang out and get something done, but essentially this will eventually result in a larger financial model. And I want to have the KPIs as a subset of how they impact the financial KPIs or how they impact customer experience. And so realistically, KPIs should and shouldn't be tracked in the same places like as finances, but I'm okay with that. I am okay with that. Okay, just a lot of financial. Production doesn't need to track production per deposits. And then materials does, so that's fine. Before making something so detailed as this, let's assume you had a one-on-one meeting with clients to gain their requirements and scope. So, fun fact, I am the customer and the creator. So, this is what I'm doing. Yes, absolutely 100% that would happen. With this, because I'm internal to the company, I'm going to be basically, what I found in my many years is if I let them know it's coming, and then I align with like the project sponsor, so that'd be my business partner Matt, on like what our objectives are, and then I would sit with each of the kind of department heads of who, like, what I would run this past them with, like, hey, here's my best estimate. What do you guys think? Do you think there's KPIs that you'd prefer or you think are more impactful to achieve this goal? What do you like? And then we talk about like the logistics of how do you actually track and manage that, and like what actions can actually be taken from it. Because I don't like glamour metrics of just saying, oh, well, we track it just to track it. It's like, well, that was a waste of everyone's time now, wasn't it? So yes, Sam, you're absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. Now in this circumstance, I'm skipping quite a few steps because I am the one that's also responsible for it. So size 12, 14. Okay. I like being able to toggle through my groups. 14. Okay. Financial, operational, duration. Okay. Now, these are widely available online, so these are real. I'm gonna do the primary ones because the point isn't to get everything completely correct, it's to do the best 80%, which the perfectionist brain doesn't want to do, but that's okay. That is okay. Let's just say, I think I need to pull out all of the admin staff. I would say, wait. Got a word. SG&A, which I think I have down here. I'm going to take salaries out because I only need to be able to flex up and down hourly work. The salary isn't something that has to be tracked and managed monthly. Okay. I think I'm good to get rid of these now. Again, these are made up numbers, so don't get crazy. Don't get crazy. Do you leave Excel unlocked if the client wants to update formulas and fields themselves? Yeah, normally. I always have my backup copy for myself because I know humans are human and I never want them to feel like they can't change things. I think if I had a client that consistently just went in and like torched the place, I might instill some better guardrails. But what I do with my Good Trade Depot client and most clients is like I try to mark in yellow the cells that they can confidently change themselves because I like to make it kind of an autonomous experience because messaging me to edit one cell, like I don't want people to feel like they're waiting on me. But I don't normally, and if there's something I would do that I wouldn't want them to ever mess with, I would probably put it in Power Query if it's like a consistent thing, because nobody accidentally stumbles into Power Query. And if they do, they're usually so overwhelmed that they don't even do anything in there. If it's like that serious. Anything else, I try to just give them this key, basically saying like, you know, here's what's important and impactful. Here's what to focus on. Inputs, don't edit these, so that they at least know like generally what to do and not to do. But if people want to break their own sheets, I mean, good with me. Give me more work to do. Okay. Okay. Now it just becomes filling it in. The hardest part. That'll be okay. Let's see if we have... And also, yeah, I'll say it. I love pivot tables. Have always, will always, for the rest of my life. Love pivot tables. Let's do... I'm going to create one more thing. No, I don't. Remember, these are all made up. I hate pivot tables. I like them if I don't have a clear path of where I want to go. Being able to like quickly toss stuff around to like see some stuff. That's what I like. I think pivot tables okay, I got some hot takes. I think if you work in an organization where you're required to interact with a lot of data a lot of the time, and you don't invest in the resources to train everyone on how to be excellent Excel users, the quickest way to decrease the number of, hey, could you help me with this thing, is pivot tables. That's the quickest way to get everyone on the same page. If you just, especially with a big enough organization where you don't have like the one-on-one being able to like support that stuff, like support, like usually when you get to the bigger organizations, they have data infrastructure enough to be able to mostly do pivot tables. I think where people run into issues is when they're given grid data and they can't pivot off of it, obviously. But I also don't, when people give me grid data, I'm like, let's try it again from the top. Let's go back and like try to get the raw data. And a lot of times people try to dress it up before they send it to me, which actually, this is a funny note. I've experienced this a lot lately where I am not quite an intimidating person. And I don't try to be. I try to make Excel an approachable environment where people aren't like spooked. And even with the calm demeanor I carry, people are still so hyper embarrassed to send worksheets. And it's like, and I related myself to a foot doctor the other day. It's like, nobody goes to the foot doctor like stoked to show like whatever they got going on. And similarly with Excel sheets, most people act like it's a foot, like, oh, don't look at it too close. Like, I just need to get this working, or like, I just need to fix this thing. And I'm like, similar to like a foot doctor or Dr. Pimple Popper, I'm like, I'm going to get in there and I'm going to untangle some stuff. Like, I'm excited to wrangle the beast that is these Excel sheets. And it's interesting. The more people I talk to, the more I'm collecting evidence that a lot of people are embarrassed by their Excel sheets. And it's like, how do I communicate that I love a messy spreadsheet? Love. I think I just need to post more of the transformation videos, but I digress. I'm foot doctor Amber. That's okay. I know there's a silly way to do this because I want it to be able to like go in order. I think this is silly the way I'm doing it. Because I think if I do this now, especially because pivot tables are going to get that new feature with like the auto update. Hell yeah. Okay, I think this did what I wanted it to, which is great. Yeah. Other words of advice is change your settings. So I used to so the default way that this this goes on for rows and columns, show compact form. I'm trying to like show what it normally looks like. Anyways, let me see this. Yeah. No, I'm still wrong. Yeah. Okay. So you see how this, when you go in, it like has all of this like chunked out nastiness, like where it doesn't get any wider. Oh, it gives me hives. So if you're say looking at a pivot table and you're like, wow, this is fucking ugly, you're absolutely right. Turn those grand totals off, turn the subtotals off. You don't need that shit. Tabular form, repeat line items, so much easier, because then you, wherever you're at, you're like, oh, what am I talking about? That's it. Similarly, then you can throw in as many things as you want to be able to see all of the things that it's like kind of bucketed. Now you might be like, Amber, that looks similar to just that other thing that you were looking at. Well, then you can at least grid it out if you want to. Now, obviously she looks crazy and I'm not going to do that, but you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I don't think any of that made sense, but that's okay. Account. I want the type. Where was that? Nice. Let's unwrap this data because... Oh, better. Also, grid lines? Geek. No wonder I'm breaking out. Okay, cool. Okay, nice. So then I also want to make... just a column for... I hate when they split out debit and credit. How do you test all of this before finalizing? It seems there are so many little factors that could go wrong. Finding the issue would be like looking for a needle in the haystack. Yeah, that's why we do it meticulously. So with this, that's where we keep in, and this is where I think the financial modeling course on Full Stack Modeler does a really good job. But by putting all of it, like we identify all of our inputs, and then inside, really, if you think about how complex it is to forecast the entirety of all of your finances, I mean, every financial decision is based on logic. So if you say, oh, well, I need to buy PPE, or like I need to buy safety glasses. Okay, well, what's the inventory of the safety glasses? How often are you using those safety glasses? What other things trigger you buying those safety glasses? Similarly, customer behavior. What are their payment terms? Like there's so many meticulous details that go into financial modeling, and that's why financial modelers are paid what they are. Like that's why analysts are who they are. But how I go through this is right now I've identified my inputs, and then what I'm doing now is I'm going to go one input at a time. What am I looking for, and how do I want to kind of forecast the future? Which is the mixture of I would say science and art and like a little bit of the universe. But in terms of the mechanics of each thing is kind of, let me show. Basically, these are just choices. Every yellow cell is a choice I'm going to make or a thing I want to target. And then that is going to spill out into all of this. But inside of these, a lot of times, the equations are quite simple. It's something divided by something multiplied by something. And because the row, like it's best practice to do the first column completely correct and then copy and paste across to make sure like that there's consistency and that you're not doing duplicate or different, you're not hard coding anything into your individual cells. And then additionally, I think Ian Schnorr did a really fantastic, he's done a presentation quite a few times about how to vet a model, and he gives you like kind of a toolkit of different things in Excel you can use to like show row differences and column differences. And there's ways to be able to quickly vet that, but I think there's just like a data hygiene level of meticulousness that's in my bones at this point. Like we do not hard code numbers in cells. For instance, even though I know there's 128 ounces in a gallon, I'm never going to put 128 in a formula bar. I'm always going to put it in a variable cell. So then on the off chance someone's like, oh, I want to convert to milliliters. Well, that 128 is not going to make sense anymore. So I'm very meticulous of like everything must be referenced to something that is visible, because the more invisible you make your equations and the less vettable you make them, the more difficult it is to find issues, because these things are fucking enormous. So, felt. But to be fair, the beginning of my career, I was forecasting 3,600 different items 12 weeks into the future and was accountable for every decision I made with data. So like in terms of meticulousness, there's kind of like someone would have been able to say Bud Light 30 packs in Riverside, California. Why did you up the forecast in this week? And I would have said for reasons. And so I think there's a lot of details, but if you focus on one at a time and like creating logic that supports that idea. And if I'm unsure of the logic, like let's say there's something like, let's see, if I don't know the mechanics of how loan interest is accrued, that's something I would mark as pink, and I would talk through with like the client or an accountant or someone else to be like, I don't think I'm actually calculating this correctly. So if I'm ever unsure, I leave an asterisk and like come back to it. But generally it's all just kind of addition, subtraction, and division. Like we're really not doing crazy stuff. And if it does get to a crazy point, usually that's when I go, okay, do we need more variables to be able to track and monitor to like support this, or does it truly just have to be like a crazy equation? But generally it's just income and outcome. For instance, with fulfillment, we've got e-commerce pick pack. That's $1.50 per order. So what I'm going to do is underneath that, I'm going to say expected monthly orders. Now, actually, I am going to do that because that is a choice I need to make. Expected monthly pick packs. And let's say this, I want to be able to do, I want to make choices monthly. So I could go back in my data and to support the idea. Like I could just off the cuff say, I think we're going to do, and this is just a number, we're going to do 100 orders a month for the next 2 years. But then that's where you can say, instead, maybe I want to, instead of putting a seasonality factor in here, I could say something along the lines of pick pack seasonality. And then that's a percent factor. So maybe I think we're going to be X percent up or down from where we thought we were. So like instead, this becomes my average, my baseline is that. And honestly, this would be on a calculations tab, but equals this And I don't think this is a good way to forecast, to be super fair with you. What is going on? This, times that. So number of orders. So average monthly orders. Let's say all year we think it's just going to be business as usual. But in the December, let's say, we think it's going to dip in the winter. So let's say 80, 120, and like 500%. So inside of this equation, it's just a multiplication, but you're tracking kind of three things to support that. So then from here, you can estimate your income, estimated pick pack revenue. And this should be on a calculation tab, but that's where you multiply your orders times that by how much it costs to do that service. Voila, $150 a month. And in the months that we're doing more, $750, it's going to flex with you. Yeah. I don't think any of that made sense, but YOLO. And realistically, these should be on the calculations tab, but we're just doing it sloppy. We're just going to do it. And honestly, I like this methodology mildly. So I'm going to just create that again for expected pallets loaded. I like to keep the name words the name. I also like to just not put expected, but you can put in a separate column forecast. Yeah, we'll do that. That's fine. Let's give a little room to breathe. Oh, sin. I think that's something I've been getting used to, is only locking the column instead. Because then if you want to copy the logic, sometimes that is something that gets accidentally missed by me. I think other people are much better at this, but and even there, you see how this is F times J, whereas this is J times F. It's actually better practice to just keep it the same with the way that you're structuring your formulas. And it sounds like, meticulous detail, but then when you're going through, you can say, okay, I know that I'm going to take my variable first and multiply it by whatever routine logic's happening. Yeah. We are almost at time. There's 4 minutes left. Well, I'm glad I at least got this started. I'm feeling a lot closer to magic than I was, which is good. Let's just say 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, 4, 5, 5, 6 space. This is literally how some of your beloved beverage brands forecast is. They just kind of take whatever the average is and toggle it around. It is actually quite hilarious. I wish I was lying to you. Okay. And then we'll say usually it's a subset of shipment coordination of percent Nice. Well, I got the fulfillment simulator part done, which is nice. Yeah. Now this could be way more complex than I'm making it. For instance, like e-commerce pick pack rate. I could go in and like use data that's from, like, honestly, what I will probably do is take our historical data and like our growth and decay metrics to see like, yeah, we see this part of our business growing and we have these strategic initiatives that are going to push that to be bigger, or like we have these partnerships that we're looking for that might drive that in that way. But got to build the model first, and then we can talk about, like, then I can talk. I think next week when I do have Matt on, I'm going to talk through some of like the logic things of like, okay, if we strategically pinpoint this area versus this area, or like talk through some more logic. We'll see. I'm at least taking the correct steps and just thinking logically about every single aspect of my business, how it drives value, and then how sometimes it doesn't drive value, or what needs to be tracked and managed, because some businesses just never have this kind of moment with themselves to be like realistic. I think they do, but sometimes just not enough. But I want to drive 2026 with like a clear vision of like financially and operationally and customer experience wise, what do we want to do and how do we want to do it so that everyone's kind of united on the same plan? Because what drives disengagement is if you've got different metrics that yours are in like an antagonist to mine, and that like creates such chaos. So we're trying to have a united front. So, or this is my first attempt at a united front with data, now that we have data to support it. But I digress. Thank you for coming. I'm gonna head out now. But next week we'll be here again, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Again, if you'd like to join me in Vegas, theactivesell.com/shop, 10% off with PG Pro. Otherwise, that's about it.